So good morning. Thank you for joining. Let's kickstart today's session. So the initial 10 minutes, as we discussed yesterday, we'll try to go over a few concepts which we have covered by uh, someone had volunteered. I think Harish had volunteered. Harish, are we good to interview today? Yes. No.
Just Abdul. Like in this call or in a separate call?
In the same call. Don't worry. No, it's not a call to judge anyone. Just to see how exactly we are doing with respect to what we have covered and what we have understood, and are we able to answer to in the desired way for the questions which come up in interviews. Okay. Only on the topics which we have covered so far is something which we will be going over. Would that be okay?
Yes, yes. Like I joined from in the middle of the batch, so
Okay.
you
From
can.
which class have you joined?
I think I joined from the activities class.
Okay. Perfect. So anything after that is something which you have covered, is what I'm assuming.
Yes. Ah, correct.
Perfect. Okay. That's a fair expectation. No problem. Okay. So the initial question always is asking or understanding what exactly, tell me about yourself. That thing we'll be looking at when we try to do how exactly we should put it forward. I won't be asking you those questions right now. Right now, it only will be something with respect to technical, oriented towards technical, understanding. So, if you can help me understand, why do we need activities in Pega?
Like if we want to interact with the database like DB and if we want to like set any properties with values, we can use activities. Uh, that's what like if we want to perform any UI based changes, also we can use activities.
Okay. Yeah. When you say UI based activities, what do you mean? How can you modify a
So
UI based activity using UI based
I
change
mean,
using activity?
I mean, like if you want to set any values to any properties, we can use activities.
Mm-hmm.
And in case if you want to like fetch any records
Mm-hmm.
from the database and populate on the UI, we can use activities. Also, we can use report definition, but
Mm-hmm.
the other ways in by activities also we can uh,
You can achieve the
fetch.
results. Okay. Perfect. So you will always see questions around why do we want to use activity. You can do it using data transform also, right?
Yes.
You can achieve a given requirement. So when they ask you for a solution, always prefer to choose something which is achievable using out of the box. For example, if someone asks you how will you perform an update on a page, always prefer using data transform. They want to hear that as an answer. Activity should be a raw last resolve for updating. Why do you want
Yes.
to use activities? Of course, as you said, to perform certain operations, could be creation, reading from a database, or updating, or performing delete, or to achieve many other things which we can tell, which is a good start. Perfect. So, if you can help me understand, if I have to fetch multiple records from a database and I don't want to use a report definition, what do I have as an option to do that?
We can use obj browse method in the activity and we can fetch the multiple records.
Very good. Okay, perfect. How do I filter records using obj browse? How can I filter records? Let us say I just want to fetch the employees who have joined my organization after December 1st. How can I do that? When we studied obj browse, we understood that we can also pass the where clause. Yes or no?
Yes.
Where whatever is the joining date, let us say the joining date is one of the columns. The joining date is equal to, greater than or equal to 1st December. You can pass this condition in obj browse. Something you can tell. Okay, perfect. That is good. So, can you help me understand when will I use field value rules in Pega?
I did not get you actually. Sorry.
When will I use field value rules in Pega? When can I use field value
Uh,
rules?
Actually, I did not attend the class, but
Mm-hmm.
if you want to change any text, like in the UI, we can use it as per my understanding.
Mm-hmm.
But I did not attend that class.
Okay. For modification of statuses, you can utilize that, no problem. Let us say I want to set a global value and I want that to be utilized wherever I want. What sort of rule helps me achieve that? Let us say I want to set a email ID for a group and I want to be able to access that from activities and different rules, but I want to set it only in one place. Which rule helps me in such
Yes, yes, dynamic system
dynamics?
settings,
Very good.
and we can
That's nice.
use
Okay.
the function
Okay.
in data system settings, and we can.
Yes, that is nice. Okay. Um, and let us say if I have to jump from one assignment to assignment which is in later point in a flow, how will I be able to do that? What rule helps me in jumping?
We can use ticket in the assignment shape,
Mm-hmm.
and we can jump from one shape to one assignment shape to another assignment shape.
Okay. What are different types of flow actions which are present as part of Pega?
We have the local play action, and another one is local and connector play action.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So, what is the difference between a local action and a connector flow action?
In local action, like uh, we can go back and forth, back and front. Like we can move we can move from one assignment to another assignment. Like we can have the back and forth functionality.
No,
In case of connector flow action, we can't go
you're
like
confusing.
once we sub.
You're confusing this thing
Oh,
with
sorry.
screen flow. No.
Okay, for that.
Very important. So local action is something where you want to stay on the current assignment but be able to perform certain changes. We did that when we implemented local action. From the actions tab we were able to access and perform certain UI changes. However, the screen was same, or the assignment which we accessed it remained the same, and we were able to do it using
Yes.
modal dialog, and we implemented that. And something which
Right.
you are talking about is flows, screen
It
flow and a
was.
process flow, which is very important. So let us say I want to validate a given property. Let us say the email ID should have at the rate symbol, and I want to validate that. What rule can I use to achieve that?
We can use obj validate. That,
Hmm.
I mean, the validate method.
Okay. What is the difference between edit validate and obj validate?
Obj validate is the client side validation, and edit validate is the server side validation.
Also, something which you can mention is edit validate is in scenarios where the validation is pretty complex and it needs
Yes, yes. We
specific
have to
code
use the Java
development.
code.
Yeah, so that is a very important point with respect to edit validate, which you can specify. That's okay. I think you did good. So I would say like brush up more with respect to whatever topics we have covered, and we should be able to understand and build a clear, concise, resume with respect to trying out for any company which we are trying to do that. Perfect. So proceeding further from where we stopped yesterday, in the last class we saw how exactly we can send out notifications using activity, and we used the correspondence rule as well as the correspondence fragment. We utilized this and we added that to activity where we called the send email notification out of the box activity, and we were able to achieve the correspondence notification. We were able to send a notification and it went out. We can also test it out today if anyone is interested. We can see that. So but in our approach what we saw, there is a drawback. What is that? If you see the DSS, the dynamic system settings, the password is clearly visible to human eye. In that sense, the user, if anyone logs in to the system, like if there are 10 developers, all those 10 developers can see this password. Whatever password you have set is easily visible for human eye. Yes or no? In the DSS, you can go and open and see. For example, the production environment is being taken care by production support, they can see this password. What is this password? Which is not an ideal or right implementation. Password shouldn't be in a human readable format. It should always be obfuscated, in the sense, if you see when you try to type the password, you see a star symbol there, or there is encryption present as part of it. That is something which we will need. So that is the improvement we have to add to this current process. To do that, also something we will understand today is how exactly in the current approach we added the email functionality through to our activity, and then we achieved it by calling it in the flow actions post processing. Today, if you see in the workflow, let me open this flow. In the smart shapes, let me check out this guy. While that loads. So if you see in the palette, you can use out of the box shape, automation shape, which is called as send email. Are you able to see that? See, we also have capability to send an email by accessing this particular shape. Today we will see how exactly we can use this shape and send out an email notification to an external party. Let's try to see that. Perfect. So in the last class we were able to implement this. We can also test it out if you want. I can use any of your email IDs and we can see if you have received the notification successfully. Let me create a sample one. Click on create. Okay, work object is created. Vishwas, if you can tell me your email. Vishwas CN4 is it?
Yes.
At gmail.com. Let us see if you get the details now. I won't put any other details. I'll just say submit, just to make sure if this integration with Gmail is running fine. Submit. So you should get something with this in the subject. Personal vehicle. I don't want to fill these details. I just do want to provide the address. Let me go ahead and provide the loss info. Submit. Approval info. Say approve and submit. Now we'll provide some address. 114 Empire State, New York City, New York State 1001 is my pin code. Shipping info is same as billing. Select submit. Can you verify your email and see if you have received an email with these details with the
Yes. I have received.
You received it. Okay, perfect, that's good. So that was our previous approach which we had taken. Today we'll implement something which will make this password not visible and also kind of secure way of implementing this. To configure outbound email, we can also create an account. How will we do that? If you go to configure here and come to integration, and click on email. Configure integration email accounts. Configure integration email accounts. Click on this. This should give you a list of all the accounts available as part of this particular instance. So there is one sample, but all those are like showing the status as failure. You're not able to connect to it. No problem. Let's do one thing. Let's try to create a new account here. To do that, under email accounts, click on create. All I have done is navigated to this from configure integration and email, and under the email accounts. Here you can specify your account ID, whatever could that be. For example, I will say ABC email is my account. Account ID and account name. Let me keep that same. Control C, Control V. Okay, now you get to choose the provider. Who is the provider? Right now I'm using a Google client. So see, these are different providers. Office 365, user my Microsoft Outlook thing. Ideally you will be using Office 365 or Apache James. These are like something which they use, but they'll let you know what exactly they are using in the system. Because Gmail is free, let's try to use Gmail here. Google Gmail is what I'm trying to choose here. Okay, perfect. Now once you choose that, it should give us some additional details here. It's gonna take some time, I guess. No worries. Let us choose the sender. Yeah, sender is SMTP. If you remember, we specified the SMTP host for this guy. As soon as you choose this should give you few more details to be provided. Are you able to see those? Yes, no? Under the sender, when you choose SMTP, it will provide you many more details which you will be providing. Similarly, how exactly we gave these details under DSS, the same thing it is asking you to create an account for this particular user ID. Let us try to create one. I'll use my own VPN for gmail.com. The host is the same thing which we already have seen before, SMTP host, and display name, let us say Abdul, and what should be the user ID? User ID also we can keep the same guy. Control C, Control V. Okay, perfect. The password should be something which we have to update it to the one we have already got here, alpha auto password. Control C and update that password. Some applications, some accounts use OAuth token also. This is an advanced implementation. Right now you don't have to worry about that. Even if you are using it, will be just as a password. You will be getting a token. That token is something you will be utilizing. Don't worry about that. Right now just understand that every usual email address needs a password. That is the password you are following. Perfect. And make sure you are updating the port. I think it has to be 465, I guess. Let us check. Okay, just provide 465. Remember to update this particular port to 465. Of course, it has to use SMTPS to perform this integration with email. Make sure you choose that. Uses SMTPS, use secure connection SMTPS. TLS is the version which it's going to use as part of this protocol. That's it. Now you are done with the sender details. All we have done is given the email address smtp@gmail.com, some display name and a port number. User ID also I'm keeping the same thing. Along with that, I have made sure it is using SMTPS because we are using the SMTP host to send that. Perfect. Reply to and trust store, you can keep it empty. We don't need to know right now. Now, if you come down, there is something called as receiver. There is a receiver details. The sender always uses SMTP, receiver uses POP3 or IMAP. Here we'll be using IMAP for the Gmail one. See, imap.gmail.com. Able to understand, guys, how we are trying to create email account. It's as good as creating a Gmail account, but this requires few more details because it is kind of abstract and you're trying to do it at an organization level within Pega. That is why. Don't worry about that. Just follow these instructions and you will know what we are trying to do here. In the identity, you can tell use sender's ID and password is what you can say. And the port should be 993, no changes there. imap.gmail.com uses this thing. Now that's it. Okay, you can just say submit. Perfect. If you see, we are successful in creating an email account called ABC email and some name and SMTP host, and if you see, the connection status tells us it is successful. Yes or no?
Yes.
Were you able to understand how exactly we are creating an email account here? Yes? No?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay, so all we are doing here is we are trying to look at an alternative to replace this email ID and password which was exposed, and then we are also planning to utilize the smart shape to see how we can send notification. Let us try to modify one of our existing flows and see how exactly we can include them. Coming back to my work class, expanding the process category to see what all flows I have. I do have bunch of flows. Let me use the customer search flow. Okay, let me open this customer search flow. I want to modify this to add the smart shape for email. Let me save as this in the latest rule set, which helps me enabling editing on this particular rule because it is present in a locked rule set. Now I'm saving it to the unlocked rule set where I can perform my changes, create and open. Now I see that there's this customer search flow action available. Let me add the smart shape first. To add the smart shape for email, I'll be clicking on the shapes palette and then I'll be going to the automation category, and here I'll be able to find the send email smart shape. From the shapes palette, automation category, when you click on that, and then you'll be able to find a send email smart shape. Why it is smart? Because you're doing something fancy here. You're just trying to use this shape to send out an email. That's why it is a smart shape. Perfect. I just connected that flow action to send email. Let me complete this. Perfect. Okay, so we were able to add a smart shape called send email to this particular flow, customer search flow. Well, of course, we have to see what all things can we configure on this shape. Just double click on that and you should be able to see what all configuration it accepts. See, now if you see, there are multiple stuff. Here it is asking you can hard code the email address, the recipient address which you want to send. But for every work object, the email can be different. Yes or no? Because one is for Vishwas, one is for Nikhil, one is for Tekra, like that. Every work object will have its own email ID. Yes or no? We can't hard code that here.
Yes.
So to do that, what we will say, we want to choose a field here. We don't want to hard code it, nor I want to have a participant, but I want a field here. What is that field? What field are we capturing the email? Yes. Email ID. Yes or no?
Yes.
Right. Perfect. So now I am able to capture that here. So what should be my subject and stuff like that is something which we'll have to configure. The subject has to be a message, could be like a text message. Yes or no?
Yes.
Right. So to do that, we call it so it's a text message, and in custom message type there is a correspondence we have built for it. Yes or no? ABC core. Do we agree, guys? Have we created this?
Yes.
We already created this. We can utilize that. We can utilize that. That's what we are trying to do here. All we have done is included a message. Sometimes you might also have attachments. Like there might be some attachments you have to include. You can check this and you can include them. Right now I don't have anything like that. Right now I just want to keep it to basic. All we have done is included a send email shape, told that there is a field which will give you the recipient email. Use that is what we have told. And then we are told that would be a text message subject, and then there's a correspondence rule which it has to use, and that correspondence rule is what we are referring to here. Let's say submit. Save. Perfect. So two things we understood here. Here we can use this and also send an email. And let me check in this and see if it is working as expected. The takeaway from today's class is understanding what are the different ways in which you can create a email account within Pega to send notifications outside. One is of course which we saw in the last class. Today we saw that using the configure option we can add this email account. Yes or no? We have understood that. We can also execute this and understand. Oh, sorry, I have to run this flow. Let us search for an ID which has these details, and it should let us send that email. Just try to populate that. Let me click on this guy. Let us see if the email ID is populating for that guy. Okay. Edit. CN4 is it? Okay. So right now I don't have that value in my clipboard, so I am updating that so that I can utilize that to send this email. That's what I'm trying to do. Let us see if this goes through. Ideally it should, right? Let us see if he receives the email. If not, that's fine, no issues as such, but just an understanding of how exactly you can create a flow with outbound notification using an email account, which as you can confirm if you received an email. Perfect. So this is one way we can add an email account for outbound email. There is also another way using which we can do it. Two we have seen is, one is like adding all your credentials to the DSS and then utilizing the send email notification activity, out of the box activity, and creating a outbound email notification. Second is using this configure button. Also we understood how to do it, yes or no? Configure, integration, connect, email accounts. This helped us understand we can come here and create a manually, we can add a new account here. This way you can create a specific account for specific environment. Let us say this is development, this account is for development. Similarly, one for QA, one for prod, one for production. That way you will be using those specific email IDs to send email your notifications for the corresponding work objects. Does it make sense, guys? Yes? No?
Yes.
Perfect. Very good. Very important. Have you worked with email integration is what they will ask. Yes, we have sent out outbound notification framework is what we have built using the email account feature under the integrations is what something we have used. We have also used send email notification activity, which is out of box activity which will help us send out outbound notifications. Could be details about a work object, could be at any stage where you wanted to notify the parties, for example the customer who is involved in this work object, you wanted to notify him about something. We can use this feature. Yes or no? Yes or no, guys?
Yes.
Perfect. There's another way you can create these accounts. Just right click on your work class, go to create and say integration resources and say email account. From here also you can create the same thing. Does it make sense? Does it make sense, guys?
Yes.
To notify, you can create in three ways. One is utilizing the send email notification activity, customizing it, and you can pass your custom attributes and you can do it more manual approach. That is, this is automated. Here you have a wizard from configure button. Using integration category, there is email category, under that there is email accounts. Just go and add your accounts there, refer to that account in your flow wherever you are trying to call on the smart shape. You are able to refer that. Perfect. Now also another way is right clicking on your work class and going this way, or you can also click on the resources category, the records category, right click on integration resources, create, and also you can create an email account. Does it make sense, guys?
Yes.
Creating a, see, here you can select your provider, sender, stuff like that. Gmail. Did we choose the same thing in the previous account creation? Exactly similar to that. You can create one here. Let's see what details you can choose. IMAP and All these details they will be providing you when you are establishing your integration. They will provide you with these details. You will know how exactly you can fetch these details and update this record. All you have to understand here is sending out notification from your workflow is a very easy task. All it needs is this basic configuration where you establish an account using which you will be sending out this notification. Does it make sense, guys?
Yes.
Any understanding gaps with this, with these three approaches? Yes? No? Yes? No? Guys? Understood how exactly we can send out outbound emails from a workflow?
Yes.
Very good. Perfect. So I'll kickstart what is the topic for tomorrow, but I won't conclude that. The next topic we will be checking about or understanding is under the decisioning category there is something called as no, I think it comes under triggers. It should be under declarative category. Okay, yeah, declare trigger. Perfect. So declare trigger is my next rule which we'll be focusing on. Of course, it's a declarative rule and then rolls upon a decisioning category. Why would we use it? For example, if any record is updated on a table, then I want a certain activity to be executed. Let us say you are capturing who are absent for a given day. Whenever a person is absent for more than 2 days, in the sense, let us say, how are you tracking it? Anyone who comes into your school or your company, he has to swipe his card. Let us say for 3 continuous days someone didn't come into the office, in the sense he has not swiped. That means the table is updated with blanks, yes or no, for that particular user. That, let us say you want to create a notification or send a notification or perform something. Okay, when someone is absent for continuously 3 days, you want to contact his family or something, do some operation. To do that, how will you know when the user has not been present for 3 days? Either you have to go to the database and check every day who has not come today, who has not come yesterday, and who has not come day before yesterday. Yes or no? You have to do that. Or the system should be smart enough to let you know, okay, these 3 days this guy did come, automatically it should be sending some notification. Yes or no? Yes or no, guys? So in scenarios like that, we'll be using declare trigger, and declare trigger is a rule which gets executed based on DB values. Whenever something changes, that is, something got inserted, something got updated, something got deleted, we can trigger a activity using declare trigger. We'll define that. We'll see how exactly that can be done, and we'll try to understand to what extent we'll be implementing that in this current application. That's it I had for today. I can start that, but looks like I won't be able to complete the entire session, so we'll continue tomorrow. If you guys have any questions, I can take them.